We might be in Sin City, but we didn't forget about the Big Apple. Hello, everyone. Brian Campbell, Luke Thomas, the host of Morning
Tight
Kombat.
Intro. Wow.
Yeah, you got to get right to it. We are here in Las Vegas, of course, to cover the Canelo Alvarez versus Caleb Plant fight, but we did not want to forget about UFC 268 on the other side of the country. We wanted to react to today's UFC 268 presser. All right, Brian
we were like, give us a set that looks like an 80s game show mixed with like cabaret and some dancers. This is what they got us. I'm actually into it.
I'm super into it. All right, first things first, your general impressions of what happened.
Look, it was cringy as shit, but it was actually entertaining. And sometimes that's what I want when the fighters get on there in the mud. Was Colby Covington way over the top? Yes. But it was the Colby Covington of old. It's real Colby, meaning fake Colby, but real Colby, meaning character, putting his best foot forward, trying to sell this fight, trying to hype himself up. Maybe that means nothing to anybody, but he wasn't that guy ahead of that first fight. So I'm not saying I'm seeing a more dialed-in guy with a better chance at winning. I think Usman's evolution is really the story of this fight coming in. But hey, he kind of went hard in the paint going against Marty from Nebraska's dad, legal trouble,
that was
bringing in mom, bringing in a lot of...
All right, so let's talk about it. First of all, he got the biggest pop of anyone on the card. Rose got a huge pop, but was not as vocal, so maybe you could say they were tied. But most of the cheers, most of the time, A, went to Colby. B, he had on a ridiculous suit, although Kamaru had on a kind of ridiculous suit, too.
Ridiculous suit media guy tried to expose Colby as getting less cheers from the crowd from Usman. Did you take any...
And they ended up being something kind of similar at that point. Oh, here's what I noticed. They both got the same amount of noise. Kamaru got more boos.
Yes.
But in the end, if you're booing Kamaru to that extent, he's going to take that as the cash register ringing just the same. But it did seem like the predominant amount of affection went towards Colby. I have to tell you, I guess I'm half surprised, half not surprised, but aren't you a little bit like, wow, he dropped the MAGA hat, he still does some of the MAGA shtick, and he's over the top now, but it has worked a little bit, hasn't it?
It has. I don't think he's done a horrific job pivoting into what he is. Now, he's not a complete derivation. He's not a complete of that.
He fought Charlo in the doubleheader.
From the MAGA Colby, but it's a little bit of a pivot more into like pro wrestler Colby. You know, wear the ridiculous suits, have the comebacks.
This was the guy giving out Spider-Man and Star Wars spoilers on Twitter. This is that guy.
But you know, some of it is people just don't love Kamaru Usman. And I think some of it is it comes from the wrong place maybe, or maybe to them he's just a cornball. I get all that. He's a freaking amazing all-time fighter, pound-for-pound king, trying to sort of cement his all-time status in this run right now. He seems to do everything right outside the cage. It's hard to boo that guy, but maybe that's part of why Colby gets a little bit more of a bump. He is kind of playing the right tune to the right people, if that makes any sense. And also, Luke, it goes without saying, the state of MMA media right now at that press conference. I mean, our buddy, the Schmo, shout out to him, he was like the most buttoned up.
He was like Edward R. Schmo over there. I was like, wow, that is...
I mean, good Lord.
Jose Youngs was holding it down. Jose Youngs was holding it down.
I mean, Oscar Willis, when he's not asking about Hasbulla fights, is great.
But, you know, you had John Morgan. He took something of a L, similar to me and John, that was worse, but... You know, making him do the 10 push-ups.
I wanted to bring that up. So Colby sending John Morgan to hell.
John laughed it off. I thought he took it well.
Yeah, John laughed it off in a way that I don't know if it made himself look great, but it diffused any momentum Colby was going to get off of that. It was out of place. It was ridiculous, but that's Colby. That's what you expect. But did he get served worse than you did by John Jones?
No, because I was so taken aback by it that I was like, I didn't know what to say. I was so confused. I think when Colby comes out wearing a suit looking like, who was the guy in the 80s pro wrestling, the manager who always had the
mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart?
Jimmy Hart. He comes out with a suit like Jimmy Hart. You know, can you take that seriously? I don't think you can.
He's really trying to get over that. And also, greetings, nerds and virgins line.
Yeah, and also John was just like, fuck you, whereas this guy was like, get down and give me 10. There was obvious kind of theatrics involved in it. But in any case, he was sparring with the media there a little bit. What did you make of Kamaru? Dude, the insults from Colby are like, I mean, over the line every time, habitual line stepper. I guess if you're Kamaru, you have two choices. One, you can get mad about it and want to thrash him, or you just have to let it go no matter how bad it is.
It's a tough walk to navigate because there's part of me that's like, just snap at him. I mean, he's bringing in your mom and dad, but then again, that's what Colby wants him to do. I think he's winning the battle just from saying, look, it's not going to get to me. I'm going to do the fake laugh with you. His comebacks, they were lame. I mean, doing the come out of the closet thing. I mean, he was going.
Yeah, they were terrible.
It was like he didn't know where to go, so he went down that road, and it just not a good road. And for any direction at this point, it didn't even hit, even in like the.
But didn't you feel like he was playing back with Colby? Like he was smiling.
I just think he looks at this as
one
of the questions that was asked was, do you like actually appreciate what Colby brings to your fights and to the table and the energy? I do think he actually respects. Like I don't even think he really hates Colby, and maybe that's part of the problem of why this rivalry won't go to like Jones DC level of like, remember that great rivalry when they hated each other. I think Kamaru kind of to some degree looks at, okay, this guy raises the rent a little, makes it a big fight. I feel like I can beat him, so I'm not going to get that upset about it. But like you said, he was crossing lines and being cringy. On top of that, it was,
We'll talk about the face-off.
It's better than a boring one, though. Would you say that this is, even with the ridiculous meet and the guy from South Florida with the pink suit who really wants
there,
to...
Yeah.
I mean,
and by the way, in defense of Schmo was here yesterday. We saw him at the presser, and then he was in New York City today.
I mean,
that guy's
that's
hustling.
That's hustle right there, Schmo.
I would also say that, like, in general, correct me if I'm wrong, maybe this is all the crowds that when they have them, these New York pressers are rowdy, bro.
Yes.
Like, this one was rowdy. The Max Holloway-Habib presser was rowdy.
The Conor Alvarez one, I played a role in that.
New York City gets busy with these.
So I asked Conor about the jacket. Remember he came out with the crazy fur coat,
the white
one. And I was one who asked him about, hey, bro, tell us about your suit. By the way, I got in trouble by the ESPN higher-ups because I said, hey, bro, on a telecast there. But it was almost like you pitched the question, you can't hear what's happening next because the crowd it goes crazy behind you. It feels like they inverted that this time, had the crowd up front, the media set back a little. It changed the dynamic a bit, but
it did.
It's a circus, and it should be a circus. I think it sells the fights in general very well because not only are we here talking about was Colby shtick good, too far, whatever, both Rose Namajunas and Zhang Weili, who are in this fantastic co-main event, they both look like badasses on this Thursday. I mean, they were like action movie stars.
Rose looked like a DMX with those black overalls.
I like that look, yeah.
And then Zhang Weili just seemed, I don't know, rejuvenated, happy.
New haircut. You can tell she's by how she responded to that question about the crowd that she's trying to
appeal to them.
I'm
happy to be in New York City.
And that's great. And, she had that cool red bomber jacket on. I mean, it was pretty badass.
Yeah, but there wasn't a whole lot said about either of them on either side. There were some questions about Trevor Whitman. By the way, UFC President Dana White confirming that they changed the bout order for the reason to give Trevor Whitman enough of a break, because otherwise he would have been back to back to back. Two of those being title fights.
I think that fight's going to be so good in that spot that we're going to start to see them picking out a banger and putting it in the front opening position on more pay-per-view cards.
Also, between Justin Gaethje and Michael Chandler, I got to say the saltier dog of the two was Justin.
No question.
He seemed to have a bit of an edge going to him.
And I like
Michael
that edge because Chandler doesn't have an edge because he's a little bit more happy to be here. I know what I bring to the table. I can win the title on any night, and that's all true. But Gaethje, for a small season, was the guy on the outside looking in this larger title picture. Now it seems like he's in a number one contender fight and a great chance to be next for the title. But we all know how close he pushed Habib to the brink of peril with one more leg strike. He feels like he's kind of forgotten. So not only do we love this fight, their performance at this presser, I thought they just doubled down on, look, do you guys know who we are? Do you know our reputation? We're going to go in there, we're going to bang. Tui.
And also, Justin Gaethje giving a piece of his mind to Colby Covington as well. There's a little bit of that as well. You could tell he did not. Kamaru has to do whatever he has to do to get through Colby just lobbing bombs at him. But you can tell it clearly pissed off Justin Gaethje. He even mentioned the fact that you're a POS, bringing up people's families. He specifically highlighted that. He seemed ready to go.
We can say, I agree with you, and we can say a lot of things, and we have about these UFC press conferences. And
they're pep rallies.
Today was as ridiculous a pep rally as freaking possible. Yeah, I'd rather have it this way. That's just where I come from. I'd rather have it this way. All right, quickly, Dana White was washed.
Okay. Did we get any clarification on if Islam Makhachev
Dude,
gets the
he
title
couldn't
shot?
understand the question, which I thought he was avoiding at first.
The guy was like, what about Dana White privilege? Cut it out. I was like, bro, I get what you're doing, but please, can we move this fucking shit
By the way,
along?
how many people are trying to become stars through this process? How many media members are trying to get over, as they say?
I understand it, but we didn't get any answer.
Okay, but he's a little washed, bro. I know he can't hear.
His hearing is definitely gone.
You and I can't tell that story. I can't tell that story about what happened last night and the famous person we ran into.
Yeah, we ran into a famous person last night, but we can't quite tell that story.
In a place that, right.
You wouldn't necessarily expect him, but there he was.
He was there, yeah.
Okay, nevertheless, anything else to take away from this? I got to say, presser was rowdy. Everyone tried to play their part in the way that they thought, except Rose. Rose just kind of seemed like she was trying to just get through it and as comfortably as she could.
I feel like The biggest moment of the face-offs was Usman pushing Colby.
Surprised by
but
that?
I feel like I was because of the intention. I saw the smile on his face when he was doing it.
It seemed nakedly designed to get clicks.
I think it's a little too, and that's what people don't love about Usman, the personality. They feel he's a little too corny and pre-programmed and whatever.
Thing, though, dude,
but like, I didn't love that. Even though you know me, you push another guy, that's catnip to me. I love that shit.
I don't understand the argument that Kamaru is corny and Colby's not. I understand the argument that Kamaru's corny. How is he the only guy of those two that's corny? Did you see the suit that Colby was wearing?
It's just saying all that what led up to it, I didn't love the push because I didn't feel like it was genuine.
It definitely felt to me like he was like, all right, this is the time to go
sell.
This is
what we do. We sell pay-per-views.
Sell a few more pay-per-views, which is fine. I will say the stare down between Chandler and Gaethje, insanely intense.
I like it.
The face-off between Rose and Wiley, they were too far apart. It was whatever. And then it was good between Colby and Kamaru up until the point where they got pushed. I will say Chandler and Colby both looked like, I'm not going to say they were having rough cuts, but you could see the cut from the weight cut on their faces a little bit more easily. Anything to make of that or too early to say? Weigh-ins are tomorrow morning. Chandler did look sucked out.
I don't want that to be a thing, but it could be.
Could be. Something to pay attention to for tomorrow.
Yeah.
Could be nothing. We'll have to see. Any other final takeaways?
I'll just talk big about Morning Combat, how, we're here for Canelo, but we're bringing it, and we're going to be responding to everything big that's happened in UFC this week. And my biggest takeaway is this card is sick on paper, and it feels like when you have to fight, like we have 3 or 4 fight of the night options already before it has even happened. It's like, no, I think, Whaley... God, Whaley Rose could go 5 thrilling rounds. This could be amazing.
I know, it feels like a bomb's about to go off. But either way, whether it's boxing here in Las Vegas or it's MMA in New York City, we've got you covered. That's our reaction. Thumbs up on the video. Hit subscribe. That's Brian Campbell. I'm Luke Thomas. Back tomorrow with a live show right here. YouTube.com/morningcombat. Until next time, see ya, bitches.